Hello, my podcast people, and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of my favorite online business podcast. I got Rupert behind me. If you're watching, you see him. I got Rupert behind me flipping his tail. If you are listening, tuning in, or watching on the day that it drops, it is Monday, June 8th. Let's pray that June goes a bit slower than May, shall we? So today we're talking about a trust building tool. And I've talked about this tool a ton in the past. And I'm bringing it back because this is my podcast and I do what I want, but also because it's the truth and also because it's top of mind because of a recent experience. So today we are talking about, can you guess it? If you read the little blurb thing, then you already know, but can you guess it? What do you think I'm talking about? Tons of trust building associated with this thing, this specific type of offer. What is it? Online workshops, folks. So this episode is inspired by a workshop I attended a few weeks ago. If you're on my email list, you're in my ecosystem that way, you know what I'm talking about. I went to an online workshop hosted by a woman who goes by the name of Savannah Banana on Instagram. She teaches media literacy and communication. The workshop was an hour long. That was it. It was short. All right, boom, boom. It was $27 and it was called How to Read an Ad. There were like 5 or 6 of us on the call. And my number one takeaway from that workshop was how much fucking trust a live workshop can build. Right? I absolutely learned things. Don't get me wrong. I learned a lot. I took notes. I always take notes. She is organized. She has great flow, great structure. She did class participation, but it wasn't required or forced. We could unmute at the end and just talk. I can use our voice if we wanted, but otherwise it was just all through the chat. It was interactive, lots of energy. She was great. And again, that is why the number one takeaway was how much trust is and can be built from live workshops. I've only been following her for maybe a month. I don't know. And I have some folks in common that also follow her who I trust, most notably my twin, Laura Jean. So I was already very bought in. Admittedly, I don't know her politics, but I can guess them. You can go look at her account. She's Savannah Banana, 2 Fs. And you can see for yourself. But I will say, of note with the politics side, I do feel some kind of way about the fact that all the books that she recommends, and I bought a lot of them, they're written by what seems to be white men, right? But it makes sense on the other hand because she's in comms, and you got to know the game to be in the game, to be able to use the game for good, to be able to game the game, I guess. So it makes sense on some level, but I was just like, no women, no brown people, okay. But the hour that we spent together, it was slightly longer, but she was done with the content by an hour. But she was like, oh, we're going to go run over because she was talking about other stuff. And we were encouraging her to talk about other stuff. But that hour was unmatched in terms of getting to experience her personality, her thought processes, her quirkiness, her being, quote unquote, unfiltered, her unbound by the confines of a reel or TikTok or social media posts, right? By the end, halfway through, I was just like, yes, I trust you. I mostly trusted you before, and now I definitely trust you. I will recommend you. I will buy from you again if it makes sense, or if and when it makes sense. I will sing your praises. And this is all took place within the confines, the span of an hour. So workshops, webinars, masterclasses, whatever you want to call them, they continue to be massive trust building opportunities. And my guess is that you are likely underutilizing them. Now, I am an early adopter through and through, and I'm often ahead of things. I think I do a very good job of being like, that's going to be a thing, that's going to be a thing, that's going to be a thing. And I think that may very well be the case with these. Now, to be clear, I know they're not new. Right? Online workshops, webinars, whatever you want to call them, they are not new. Right? I am largely speaking to the spirality aspect, the spirality nature here. We know webinars, they had a moment in 2020, 2021. I actually went on a podcast and on Claire Pellitro's podcast and spoke extensively about how much of my income was made up from workshops and webinars. So they're not new. COVID brought everybody online. That's when they really took off. But as is the case with most things, right? When there is a ton of supply, interest and demand tend to go down. Note, I'm not saying that just because there is supply, interest goes down. No, it's largely the other things around it where, we have, supply is up because there's market saturation. Everyone's doing it. The novelty is now wearing off as the consumer. Maybe the consumers have had bad experiences because everyone is doing it, right? And so then the demand for it decreases, right? And we also at the same time have online business coaches. Oh, hit the mic. Online business coaches, that are pushing and promoting other things and saying that things are dead. Spoiler: nothing's dead. And workshops, webinars, we're going to call them, they are definitely not dead. Definitely not. I have a former client. I work with her sometimes on and off now as well, but she's using them and crushing with them. She has a big audience, very engaged audience, and a somewhat skeptical audience. And so it's again, massive trust building opportunity, right? She's crushing with them. Are people busy? Yes. And I think the online business coaches will use this as a way and a reason to knock them down, knock a workshop down. People are busy. They can't get to stuff. Yes, I get it. People are busy. Absolutely. Right? And self-paced stuff will always have its place. Always. I'm not trying to replace self-paced things. Right? I am, once again, speaking to the trust building that is possible with a live, whatever you want to have it, whatever you want to call it. You cannot do that with a self-paced offer. You cannot. You can build something. You can build trust. Don't get me wrong with self-paced, but it's very different. And again, it was an hour. All right, fucking 5 minutes in, I was like, I like you. So the same way, speaking to this, people being busy, right? The same way that people are being busy. People are busy. We also have been talking about people wanting connection and people wanting human interaction and people wanting in-person things, right? And I think that online workshops kind of, they scratch this itch and they speak to that. Clearly, they're not in person, but they are also clearly not AI. And I think we're going to see more of that. People are like, God, is this AI? I'm sick of this. I want a person. Boom. Gotcha. All right. They also speak to the human interaction piece, but also add a convenience piece because you can do it from home. All right. I've never been one. And I'm saying this yes, I'm also looking at my own behavior. I've never been one to really sign up for workshops. Even when I was running them, I wasn't really signing up for them. I signed up for one with James Olivia, and that really exposed me to them and their ecosystem. But I've never been a massive workshop consumer. But the people that I have gone to their workshops, I'm like, yeah, I trust you. Or I have had a bad experience. I did one. I'm trying to think when it was. I was in my other apartment. And I was like, I will never buy from this woman again. I am blocking her. I will only say bad things if people ask me about her. I don't even remember her name because it was that bad. It was a bait and switch. And I was like, never fucking again. But the amount of trust, right, that can go into it. I do think that some of the things that people are looking for, and some of those wants are being expedited and furthered by the advent of AI. I think that a live workshop can scratch the itch for a lot of those things, right? But back to the spirality piece, I can't say how your people currently feel about live stuff, right? Maybe they're really overwhelmed, they're really busy, everything that's going on economically and just politically and socially may have people feeling some kind of way. It may make them want community more. I don't know, right? But I do think that online workshops in general will come back as something that folks are more willing to engage with. And I think that online business owners should utilize them. You should utilize them if you're not already. I am fully proud, and what follows is not at all a shameless plug. I have a whole ass 90-minute self-paced course called Webinar Wizard that will teach you how to do the research for it, promote it, sell it, run it, and just crush your first webinar. And yes, I realize the irony here, right? It's not live. It's not a live workshops because I ran it live already. I ran that shit live a few times, and this was way back. And I turned it into a self-paced offer. And honestly, I don't want to run it live. Again, that is the number one thing. It's not that I don't think that it's worth it. It's that I don't want to run it live. And I already have it recorded. So I re-recorded it at the end of last year. So everything is up to date. It's 90 minutes long. It is $97, but I'm going to give you a code. If you use the code MOTM, like the letter O, MOTM, I show on the mic, MOTM, you'll save $25. So we will link that in the show notes. Courtney, thank you. But given that resource exists, I'm going to let it do the heavy lifting in regards to the logistics of how do you plan one? How do you launch one? How do you run it? All that stuff, because it's there. I've already done that. But I will say the following as it relates to running these live workshops. This is me putting on my coaching hat. First off, always assess demand, right? Assess demand first. Ask folks if they want it. right? Don't just make it. Ask them if they want this thing. Give them all the logistics, all the specs, and then from there, assume about a 10% conversion rate. So if all the people that said yes on all of your channels, 10% said yes. 10% actually, of all the people that said yes from across all of your channels, 10% of those people will actually pay for this thing and show up, or at least they'll pay for it. I don't know if they'll show up. Use that to decide if it's worth it. So if you had 10 people that said, yeah, I want this, that means that probably one of those people will actually pay. So decide if that is worth it for you. Which brings me to the next point, lean into small numbers. Right? Workshops are great financially if you have a massive audience, right? But if you don't expect to make much money, and that's okay. Again, we are really looking at, utilizing these as trust building vehicles, right? Next point, what do you call it? Workshop, webinar, masterclass. It's largely semantics, doesn't matter, right? Everyone and all of these, they're hosting it on Zoom, so it doesn't matter. I like workshop because it implies that you're going to do something. Folks tend to use masterclass as a way to charge more money, but I think it is slightly falling out of favor. But again, nothing's dead. So that's the difference between the three of those. Which brings me to the next point. Have the people do something. Again, I like calling it a workshop, and even if you don't call it that, have them do workshop stuff during the actual event. Right? Don't just lecture at them and then, have them leave. No. It doesn't have to be some super participation, unmute yourself, though, having them participate in some way and then typing things is really good. But have them do something. Have them workshop something. Take a few minutes. Literally, it could be 60 seconds and have them workshop something. Right? And then lastly, don't be afraid to charge. Right? It will help with the show up rate and will help attract folks who are committed. How much you charge is up to you. Standard is usually around $27. You can do a pay what you want. It's up to you. Right? You can do the ascending pricing where it's $27 the first week, $47, close to it, and then $67 whatever the day of before, whatever you want. Your choice there. That's up to you. And then time wise, this one that I did with her was 60 minutes. I like this idea of, especially if you're kind of meet in the middle here of just okay, people are busy, but they also maybe want human connection. Let's make it shorter then, right? So you're busy, human connection. Let me not make it 3 hours or 4 hours or 5 hours. Let me make it an hour. In and out, super quick, digestible, single thing that we're going to talk about. Boom. Right? It is harder to make it shorter, but it could be a really nice way to meet in the middle, right? All right. And lastly, for my coaching hat on, send a fucking recording. Send it out. It's 2026, folks. What are we doing? I get some folks use it as part of their sales mechanism and things like that, but the rest of the people, just fucking send it out. What are we doing? What are we doing? Right? What are we doing? All right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Right? The trust building tool that you are likely underutilizing is online workshops. They are not dead. Nothing is dead. Right? I have big faith that they are going to quote unquote come back. And even if they don't go mainstream, right, they don't go mainstream again, it doesn't mean that people don't want them or that you can't run them. Right? Go ahead. It doesn't matter. Financially, they may only net you a little bit of monies, but they build a massive, massive, massive amount of trust. And that is, in my opinion, priceless. All right. That is all for us today. As always, endlessly, one more time, endlessly. And so is Rupert. He's endlessly, even though he ran away. I don't know where he went. He's in here somewhere. We are both endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. Until next time, friends, Maestro out.